my teeth originally, being a fan of Ronald Reagan. And I realize now that it's not as cool to talk about Reagan as it once was, but when I was a little boy, I fell in love with his charisma. I fell in love with his message. This was a person that absolutely loved the country, and he said the right things. Now, obviously, there were some issues from time to time with his governing style. But from the standpoint of being a conservative, the standpoint of unifying our party around bold colors and if you have, you can Google it on Facebook or on YouTube. And in that speech, he challenged the country. And he said, it's not really about left or right, it's about up or down. The idea is that we go up toward liberty or down toward statism. And he was showing a different type of movement of liberty-minded conservatism, a movement where we can be proud again of our country, a movement where we celebrated individual freedom, and where Republicans ran strongly as Republicans, and they said what they said and they meant what they said, and they governed as conservatives. That was his time for choosing. And I open tonight by mentioning that because I think we are at a similar time period in this country's history. Look, I want to be really clear about my position here. I am a conservative. I always have been. That's not to say there aren't imperfect votes. There will always be some imperfect votes, but consistently, I've done my very best to apply the doctrines of Goldwater and Reagan and Jefferson across the board, and I hope I've done that enough to satisfy you. I believe, without question, that ultimately the only allegiance I have is to the people, not to leadership, not to party bosses, not to donors, not to those in powerful positions, but just the people that sent me here to be this person, this spokesman for you. Now you say, why is this important tonight? What is happening that could cause this type of concern? The issue tonight for me, and I hope you understand, is how conservatives in this country at the state level and the federal level are being punished for being conservatives. And I'm here to tell you that has to stop. For too long, we've elected people that go to places, whether it's Jackson or it's Washington, and they fall into line, and they do what they're told. Not because it's the conservative thing to do, but because they were forced to take that action. And we're seeing this happen again and again and again, particularly here of late in our state of Mississippi. I stand in defense tonight of courage. I stand in defense tonight of traditional conservative values. And that's why I think it's important that I speak up tonight. Now listen, I recognize that by speaking up tonight, I stand once again to make very powerful enemies. And I want you to know I'm okay with that. And if they find a way to eliminate me from my seat or to draw me out of my district, that's the price I pay for doing what I told you I would do so many years ago. I always told you I would speak truth to you about what occurs in the Capitol building. I always told you I would pull the veil back and let you see what's behind the curtain. And I want you to see it because something happened this week that was incredibly disturbing to me. And it stands to tip the scales of power in this state. And so I want you to know about it because you're the only ones that can stop it. This Wednesday on the floor in the Senate, there was a debate over religious liberty, over religious freedom. On the floor that was perfectly germane to the bill that was being considered. The Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hosemann, ruled that it was not germane. Under those circumstances, he was going to deny a vote on the amendment based on the germaneness ruling. The only recourse I had as a senator was to then appeal that decision to the body as a whole. And that's what I did. 15 senators stood with me. 15 senators took That's not what this is about. They had their reasons. I'm not concerned about that right now. But I'm terribly concerned about the 15 who stood with me. Because those 15 showed something that's incredibly rare in politics, and that is courage. They broke away from leadership just on that issue because they thought they did what they thought was right. It was a matter of conviction, not a matter of consensus, a matter of true leadership, not just get in line and keep your mouth shut. These conservative lawmakers did the right thing, and I applaud them for that. Now they're facing tremendous pressure from leadership. This is the truth of the matter. This is what occurred. You need to know what happens in your capital. Delbert Hosemann, the lieutenant governor, the person that presides over the chamber, called many of those members into his office. And because they took a courageous vote that just so happened to be against his position, he berated them. He criticized them, and he threatened them. He threatened them. And it's not just the threats that took place in the course of the meeting. Even staffers that worked for him had the audacity to go around the Capitol whispering these threats to other lawmakers on the House side and the Senate side. The threats deal with several things, but the most important of which, for the purposes of this discussion, is the issue of redistricting. Here's the issue. Every 10 years, the states redraw the lines of these particular Senate districts. Delbert Hosemann, his staff, are threatening conservative lawmakers in Mississippi to get in line or they will lose their districts. To get in line and to keep their mouths shut, or they'll recarve the districts, or even Democrats will have a fighting chance to prevail in those districts. I'm going to tell you something. There's no place for that. Those 15 courageous people that stood for you may not say these things. They may not even agree with what I'm saying now, but I will speak for them because I don't like bullies, especially bullies that dare to threaten conservative lawmakers. We have worked too long and too hard in this state over far too many years to gain controls, majority controls in the House and the Senate. It is not our place now to give those up to the Democrats because leadership prefers Democrat policies over conservative policies. We have to keep our eye on the ball here. This is all accurate and true because even his inner circle can't seem to keep a secret. It's well known what occurred in that room that day, and it's well known what's occurring at the Capitol now. These threats are prevalent. It's not good enough for them to kill bills. It's not good enough for them to withhold committee assignments or to remove people off committees. Now they're threatening to redraw and eliminate people's political careers because they dared to do the right thing. So I'm coming to you to let you see how serious this is, because one would think a Republican lieutenant governor would seek to protect Republican members of the chamber. One would think that if districts have to be redrawn, that the Democrats would suffer the most under that scenario because, after all, they are the party who holds the minority position. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's wise to punish Republicans and to punish conservatives because they dared to take a courageous stand. But it's happening. And it's happening right here as we speak, and it will happen within the next 3 weeks. I am telling you because I want you to keep the eye on the ball. Here's why it's important. If he can threaten courageous conservative senators to force them in line and to keep voting like the Democrats prefer, and he wins that fight, and he eliminates someone's political position, or he throws someone out of office, and he's able to hold the chamber in line under his policies and not the people's policies, then nothing in this state will ever change. This isn't personal. I have nothing against the lieutenant governor, but I don't like bullies and I don't like threats. And what I want to see are conservatives prevail, not because they're told to toe the line or because they're told to follow the leader, but because they're principled, strong people to do the right thing whenever they can. But listen, again, this isn't about the senators that voted against our position. They did that for their reasons, and I'm not mad at them. It's the threats that followed that got my attention, because I don't think it's wise or reasonable to threaten Republican senators for being conservatives. And that's what's happening in this state as we speak. Redistricting is coming out soon. Lines are going to be drawn soon. Watch what occurs. And if senators are punished for being principled conservatives, you must raise your voices. You must be heard. This type of punishment should not be sanctioned by people that claim to be part of the most conservative state in the republic. This is your time for choosing. Are you going to choose to be a conservative state or not? Are you going to choose to make sure conservative lawmakers are protected or not? If I were you, I would be thanking those people that vote conservatively. I would be fighting for them every single day. And if any of those individuals have their districts manipulated or somehow drawn out where they can't prevail, someone should pay a price here, and it shouldn't be the conservative lawmakers that did it. Listen, this chamber has shifted to the left far enough over the last several years. The Democrats will tell you behind closed doors that they have had the most successful 3 years in the past 3 years that they've had in a generation. I don't think that's right either. I enjoy my Democrat colleagues, but from a standpoint of being adversaries, we as Republicans must hold the line. The country is suffering. The country in so many ways is failing. And if we can't hold the line in a conservative state like Mississippi, what makes you think there's hope on the horizon? It's not going to come from California or New Jersey or Delaware or Massachusetts. We have to hold the line in Mississippi. And that does not include compromising constantly across the board, nor does it include punishing conservative lawmakers that happened to do the right thing last Wednesday. So that's why I'm here. And I'm going to keep you advised of this. No matter what happens, no matter how many people are upset, I promised you so long ago I would keep you advised of the issues of the Capitol. And that's what I'll keep doing. We'll know soon enough. We'll know the answers as to what's going to occur. But there's no place in threatening conservative lawmakers when they do something inherently conservative. It's their place to serve the people of this state, not to serve directly the lieutenant governor. That's my position, and I'm sticking to it. We'll see what happens over the next few days, and I'll keep you informed. Feel free to share this. I want you to share this. I want this to get the widest possible distribution. There are roughly 300 people watching at any given moment. Go right down and share this with everybody you can on your page, and then ask them to share it. And as this unveils over the next few days, as it unfolds, and as we see exactly what these threats mean and what's going to happen, I'll keep you advised. I appreciate your time tonight. As you can tell, I take this very seriously. I've been fighting for conservatives my entire life, and I have no intention of stopping that fight anytime soon. I wish you the best. As always, any questions, right there under the comments section. I'll be happy to answer them. God bless and have a good night.